Okay, I thought I'd do a quick update on the Novak Djokovic situation. He was officially released from whatever he's been held in. I can't remember, my brain's gone soggy. Incarceration in this migration establishment, whatever it is. So he was given his visa back, and then about half an hour later, he was taken, or an hour later, he was taken by car from his lawyer's office, was rearrested, taken by car from his lawyer's office to somewhere, and now he's either going to have to appeal again, or he's going to be deported. So I don't know what's going to happen with it. In theory, he could appeal again, and because the first appeal was on the migration situation, the first encounter at immigration at Melbourne, and whether that was done properly. The actual documentation hasn't even been looked at yet. So if they want to argue about documentation, I'm sure he's got it all sorted out. The judge seemed to think that he's got it all sorted out, so I don't know how they're going to justify deporting him. If he's dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, and every box that needs a tick in it has got a tick in it, then I don't see how they can deport him. But there's so much political shenanigans going on at the moment with this case that it's anything can happen. There's an election coming up in Australia in about 4 months' time, I think. So this is electioneering, basically. It's Scott Morrison pitching his flag and saying, "I'm a strong leader, I'll protect your borders." But he hasn't really got a leg to stand on. They've got a way of deporting that comes straight from the Home Office minister, or whatever you call it. Personal powers that the Home Office minister has, and that's what they're going to use. So Djokovic can appeal, but ultimately it's an overruled thing, isn't it? The Home Office overrules the legal system, or is that the case? I don't know. If he goes to appeal, at least all the documentation's on the table at that point. All the rules are on the table. Natural immunities in the media again, having been ignored for nearly 2 years. So there's been another. There's a clip that's been doing the rounds over the weekend of a doctor challenging Sajid Javid about forced vaccinations, mandated vaccinations within the health service. There was a clip that was on Sky News, and it's a good challenge. Sajid Javid didn't have an answer. He just went, "Well, that's your opinion," which is fair. It is his opinion, but he's a doctor. He's been working in ICUs dealing with COVID patients for 2 years. Sajid Javid hasn't been. So who's the most experienced? Who's got the most authority in that situation? Clearly the doctor. So it was a good challenge. That puts natural immunity on the agenda. As far as Sky News is concerned, I think what's happened is that the Novak Djokovic situation, they didn't have a choice but to cover because it's such a big story, and that gives them cover for natural immunity. So I think somebody at Sky is using the Novak Djokovic appeal, which is based on having natural immunity, as cover to get another story in about natural immunity. I think that's what's happening. And there's a story again about some research that was done ages ago now about whether the common cold gives you immunity to COVID, which has just shown up in the Evening Standard. So natural immunity is back on the media's agenda. They've got cover now from Novak Djokovic. So it could be a limited hangout. It could be controlled opposition. There's no way to know for sure. I'm going to take everything at face value, but ask questions. and see where that takes me. I'll take it as the Evening Standard or whatever it was. Editorial position is that they're prepared to print stories about natural immunity again now. Sky News editorial position is they're prepared to run stories about natural immunity. They're prepared to run stories that are challenging the health minister. So something's changed, very definitely in the British media. It coincides with Novak Djokivic being incarcerated in Australia, so there might be something fishy about the timing. They're obviously using one story to justify running another story, so it's all relevant though. They're all relevant, so it's really just a matter of how many stories like this they start to print, how many stories like this Sky News runs. Once it gets to 10 or 11 stories, once there's regularly a story about natural immunity and about legal challenges to rulings by government, then we've got a bit of momentum going. At the moment, it's a weekend of stories. They're probably testing the water with him to see what the reaction is. So they're flying a balloon to see if there's a backlash or what's happening in public opinion with them. And then probably they'll run some more stories next weekend as well. I don't know exactly how this works, but it seems like it's a step in the right direction to me.